Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Bob Morgan. Good on you, Bob.
G'day, Lee. How are you, mate?
Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you.
2023.
We're getting up there, aren't we?
We are.
Yeah.
It's almost half a century since we've retired, just about, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We are getting up there. It's been a long while.
It has been.
Yeah.
We're interviewing Bob today, talk about some old players who are no longer able to be interviewed. One of the legends of the club, Ian Murray, known as Knackers, sometimes dreaded.
Correct, yeah, the dreaded Knackers.
Yeah. So where did those nicknames come from?
Dreaded, I don't know. I think the dreaded Knackers is just a saying that was around. He used to be the press correspondent for a while and he used to sign at 2DK, the dreaded Knackers. But obviously the Knackers is very funny that, there was some wags around the club, Dennis Davey being one, and I don't know who named him, but because Ian had bow legs, the story was that he had either big knackers or he had three knackers. So, of course, everyone called him Knackers, but we had a bloke, Johnny Douglas, played with us for a couple of years, and he made the first as a keeper as a young guy. And he was amazed, and he was pretty gullible, Johnny. He said, no, he's Knackers, he's got three knackers. That's why we call him Knackers. Oh, yeah, right. So it was funny, every time Knackers would have a shower, Johnny would follow him in, sort of trying to look for the elusive hidden third knacker, but we never found it, obviously. But that was the story. I'm pretty sure that's why he was called Knackers. But he was called Knackers until the day he died.
Yeah,
he was.
You and he go back a long time. East Preston Primary, was it?
Yep, East Preston Primary.
Which was a massive recruiting ground for Preston.
Absolutely.
Bob Davey, Dennis Davey.
Dennis and Bob Davey, my brother and me, Gary Moore, Scratch, Stan Walker, quite a few that I can think of.
Yeah.
Knackers was a couple of years older than me. He was my brother's year. But I can remember playing cricket with my brother and Knackers and his mates during the school holidays. And one year that it might have been they were in Form 3 and I was in about grade 6 or 5, and we had this state school near us that had a big park, and we played there, and Richie Robinson used to come across and play with us.
Gee whiz.
Because he used to go to school with John and Knackers. So that was good. So, he ended up being a test cricketer, of course. And a Preston player, so that was good. Yeah. So I knew Knackers from a young age, and because of his relationship with my brother. And then, of course, when I went to Preston, Knackers was already there as an established player at a young age. He's a very good cricketer, Knackers, and he was a good baseballer, as a lot of our players were. We had lots and lots of recruits from Preston Baseball Club and COVID because it was a winter sport.
Yes.
Fortunately, that doesn't happen now, and it changed when we played about halfway through our careers where there was either baseball or cricket, so we lost a few to that. But Knackers was a very good baseballer. I think he might have represented Victoria.
Okay.
Hence that he had a very good arm, and he was a good fast bowler at a young age.
Yeah, he bowled quick, didn't he?
He did bowl quick. He had a beautiful run-up and a great action. He wasn't a big man, tall, but he used to slide off the wicket a lot. We were talking earlier, and I can remember him playing, I was a young bloke in the first, and he opened the bowling, and John Craig from Ormond.
Oh, yeah.
Craigie, it's near the JG Craig Shield. Interesting enough, I used to work with Craig, he knew him for years, and he was a gun batsman. Yeah. And Knackers cleaned him up one day, hit him in the head. I don't think Craig ever wore a hat. We didn't have helmets in those days. He cleaned him up, and Knackers thought, what have I done here? He's a bit of a legend, this guy. So he was a bit concerned about him, but that's the sort of guy Knackers was. But he was very quick. When he was younger, very quick.
He had a shoulder injury, probably from baseball, which I suppose curtailed his fast bowling.
He was very young on, and his shoulder got a bit worse, and he sort of went off a little bit and went down to the seconds. And his shoulder injury got worse over the years, and he had a really, really bad shoulder later on.
And then he took up off-break bowling.
That's right, yeah, which he was very good at as well.
Yeah, I used to find standing up to him was a real challenge because he was quick through the air.
He would be,
and could get the ball to bounce even as an off-break bowler. So,
that's right.
Yeah. But and he was a good batter as well.
He was a good batsman, like a lot of the guys that we've spoken about, Eddie, and a lot of other guys that were really good batsmen early on, but they either concentrated on bowling or whatever, but their batting went off a bit. And Knackers was the same, but he was still pretty reliable 8 or 9 later on.
Like a typical baseballer, they sort of went to cow corner a lot, didn't they?
Absolutely. Yep, and he could hit a ball.
Yes.
No, he was a very good all-round cricketer.
Yeah.
He really was.
And right from a young age, because looking at the records, he won a seconds bowling average when he was probably only about 16 or 17.
That'd be about right. Yep. I wasn't there then, but then when I was there, he played in the first, and we had some good fast bowlers, Purdy and a few others. But as you mentioned, Knackers won the first 11 bowling average, 71, and I can't remember that, but I can remember him cleaning up Craigie and bowling pretty quick. And you said he won the seconds bowling average that year as well.
The same year, yeah.
Well, that's phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I think that was my first year, and Jack was captain. And I've got a funny feeling Knackers was only bowling his medium paces off a very short run-up, so he was quite deceptive. And I know as a keeper sometimes I would stand up to him, and I remember Craigie getting hit. A terrible hit.
It was,
back in those days. But he could bowl for long periods at pace.
Well, he's a reasonably fit bowler.
Yeah.
He wouldn't go on a lot of runs and practice like that, but he's a fit bowler like Eddie.
Yeah.
And you're right, because of his shoulder, and he just his run-up was a lot shorter.
Yeah.
But he still had a bit of pace. He could really zip off.
Yeah, it was a big shoulder action, wasn't it?
Yeah, my word, it was. Yeah, and he was pretty big around the shoulders.
Yeah. Speaking of my first year, I think it was that game where Craig got injured. It was one of the first games we played away, and the legendary meet at the Terminus
Junction Hotel. Was that in the first? I thought okay. Yeah, the Knackers sort of organised that, particularly when he was skipper of the second. Everyone had to meet at the Junction. It is the Junction Hotel, the corner of High Street and Plenty Road. Yeah. And of course, Knackers and Nick Ryan, a few others, used to have a few beers as well. Which, looking back, it wasn't a good look for the young kids. Yeah. But it happened, and he was a pretty good leader, Knackers, when he was captain of seconds. And I brought everyone together. Yeah. And all the younger guys sort of looked up to Knackers because he had the good record. I'm talking to Brian Duggins and Johnny Hodges, Wayne McLaughlin. These kids coming through, they were pretty young. And I don't think they drank. Knackers wouldn't let them drink if they were under 18. But we used to meet there. Or the players used to meet there, and they'd go and play their game. And that was a thing that Knackers did. And I think Nick Ryan, when he took over from Knackers as captain of the seconds, he did the same thing. Probably not good, but
that's the way it was.
Yeah, when I started, and Gary Moore and Scratch, and we used to meet outside Popper's Milk Bar across the road from the ground.
At the Preston Market.
That's right. There was no market. It was just Popper's Milk Bar. And we'd get picked up by whoever because we weren't old enough to drive. So, but it progressed to the pub when Knackers took over.
What's some of the legendary performances you can recall with Knackers?
Good point. Because I can't.
You can't? That's fine.
No, I can't, to be quite honest. You can edit that out, but I can't. But he was just... He always was doing something with the ball or the bat, or in the field. He was a great fieldsman. He was just a good all-round cricketer. But like you say, his bowling averages, Knackers' longevity was great. He just kept going and going. He did lots of things on the field, and he did lots of things off the field for a long time.
Well, he played for 30 years.
Okay,
or thereabouts, which is a hell of a...
It is.
Hell of a turn. And made an impression on so many people over...
A lot of generations of cricketers, he certainly did. And he's a bit of a legend there. Even the the blokes that I go into the 1860 club functions, and the younger blokes talking Knackers because he was an older bloke playing cricket and they were very young. So he did a lot of work off the field. I know Steve Hillam spoke a lot about Knackers in his interview, and that was great. Steve and Knackers were really good friends from probably 30s onwards. Well, probably no earlier than that, because Steve and Knackers nearly ended up brother-in-laws, but that didn't happen. Knackers ended up marrying Lee and became a great family man. And he really did later on. But he did a lot of work for Preston off the field. He was an accountant. I think he was treasurer a few years, and he was secretary. He did lots of things. And in conjunction with Steve, they did a heap of work for Preston, on the ground and on the field and off the field.
How lucky were we as a club back in those days when you had the likes of Steve, Knackers, Jimmy Lawrence, Dick Norris, who were all accountants or involved in...
Dave Robinson was another one who was a bit younger than him, but he kept it going. We were very lucky.
Very lucky indeed. Knackers was also a very good team person, good disciplinarian, and he was tough when he had to be tough. And
he was tough most of the time when he was skipping or training or young kids were messing up or whatever. He just didn't suffer fools at all. I remember the story about the late Spider Hamilton, Neil Hamilton. I wasn't there, but it was in the seconds at Werribee. It was a hot day, very hot day, and I think Spider had dropped a couple of catches or misfielded or something, and he fielded a ball and he slid under the fence and got his ankle caught, and he thought he'd broken it, and he was screaming and carrying on, and a couple of blokes went to help out, and Knackers, no, look in there, he's useless anyway. That was sort of typical Knackers, but he was a tough man, but he was a good leader, and he really encouraged guys, and people looked up to him as a leader. He was good value.
And knew his cricket.
Oh, absolutely.
Could read the game, and
he played from a very young age, and he, like all of us, he studied it and followed the big stuff, and he really knew his cricket.
So he would have played under Ray Harvey.
I think he played there when Ray Harvey was there. He wouldn't have played under him on the field, I don't think. He might have won that bowling average when he was early. Ray Harvey might have been there then, or might have been Des Healy. I'm not sure. But so he played under a lot of good players as well. Made
a life member in 1976, which is...
he would have been about 28 then.
Phenomenal, really, when you think about it. So to be a life member at that age.
Yeah, my word. So it just speaks well of him that... he's a life member of that age. So I think that was the 15-year playing criteria. So he's been playing for that long, And then that's 76, and he's played till 90.
90s,
So another 20 years after he's become a life member.
Yeah, phenomenal.
It is. My word.
And as you say, the contribution he made in terms of mentoring, coaching, working on the committee. You mentioned he used to write the articles
he did that.
in the Preston Post for a while.
DK, the dreaded Knackers. But he did lots of things. And we used to play cricket socially with the Masonic Club. Bags got us down there. A lot of Preston blokes played. And I played a lot with him at the Masonic Club, and he used to love it because we'd have a beer and play, and it was some good cricket down there at Coolburn Oval. And he was... one of the main players, bowl and bat. So I spent a lot of time with him there as well. Quite remarkable, Bob. You would have known Dreaded most of your life up until he passed away. From when I was probably 11 till passed away. He sort of lost a bit of track when I had kids and he'd had kids, and he was still playing at Preston and I wasn't. But we were still there once a year. New Year's Eve, for instance, I was at Scratchy Mitchell's place. Every year we have a function there, and there was Jimmy Lawrence, Bags, Robert Hayton, Gary Moore, Steve Hillam, and Scratch, of course, and Knackers would have been there if he was alive. So, we kept in touch, and he always had a function at his place each Cup Day. So we'd go there, and he was a good entertainer, good family man, So I did, kept in touch with him all my life.
Yes.
He's a good way.
His passing must have come as a hell of a shock.
Oh, it did. Steve Hillam rang me up, and I thought he was joking. I was, it was a shock. I said, Steve, no, you got to be joking. He said, no, he's passed away. And I had to ring my brother.
Yep.
And Dennis Davey, and they just couldn't believe it, because he was full of life.
Yeah.
And he just passed away very suddenly. Fortunately,
Yeah, tragic.
it was. Yeah. He was on top of life. His family life at that stage was good. He was having grandkids, and he was loving life.
Yes,
yeah.
The way he's still spoken about at the club, much loved character, will never be forgotten. And
I wouldn't think so. And we've got the Hillam Murray Trophy.
That's right, named after him, for the best player in the fourths.
Yep. So that's a testament to those two guys.
Yeah.
He'll never be forgotten. He's certainly a character around the club, and a good cricketer, and a great clubman and worker.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Bob.
That's all right.